It was in who saw the ship first. We were swimming underwater at 30 feet, making our leisurely way through the sapphire blue and green miles more. All those jutting-out droppings and ridges. Swimming ahead of me, Inch pivoted and stopped mid-stroke a second later. She was waving frantically at me underwater. A frantic wave is still pretty slow, but I could tell she was excited. I swam forward, the rock tunnel overhead slipping above and out my side of veer onto the murky shape emerged in front of me. In a sudden descent away into clear blue, I could see beneath me a long grey object, clear as some sort of scuttled vessel. It listed slightly to starboard, as though it had settled currently upon a sandbank when coming to rest. What you think it is, ain't she? Throw the two-way radio attached to both our face masks. God, I think. I don't know, it looks like some kind of aircraft carrier or cargo ship. The gunmetal grey of the hull that is like a soul in Gintis, cold and silent in the gloom of the deep, daring us to make our approach. Weird, I didn't hear about any wrecks out here. Probably the locals don't want to draw attention to it. There's already too many shitty tourist divers in Zakynthos. We were scuba diving off the coast of Greece. One-time professional divers, part of us. It was a arrangement I had been looking forward to for countless months since lockdown. Emirates, their military risk never back in Sydney, and back then it still worked. Maintenance diving, you could say we were obsessed. That's the rush you get from going down somewhere new and unexplored. I do mean that literal. The narration of it. I watched my wife not slow and wonder hither's clearly tracking with mine. She turned to me. I'll never get over the strangeness of seeing her lovely long blonde hair billowing out behind that alien mask. It's probably another 50 feet down, she said. That gives us another 30 minutes. We can at least suss it out. With my tentative agreement, I always prefer to do things exactly by the book. We began our descent. As we got closer, I could see that the light was having a hard time penetrating down there. Now, at 80 feet on a good day, you have pretty decent visibility on a dip. Sure, you lose a little light, but not much down there. It was murky as hell, and believe me, the sun was up. It looked almost as though the blackish jet stream out of current was cutting through the otherwise idyllic blue of the Great Med. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I wondered if maybe it had been pulled by an oil spill or something. The ship was right in the middle, and though the thing had been swallowed by a wormhole, I gotta tell you, I didn't like it much at all. And something about this seems funky. See the darkness of that channel? Maybe we should report this to the petty screwed back in town. Come back with some experts. I mean, we don't really know what's down there. She turned to me with what I could only assume through the face mask was disdain. Is this the man I married? She asked. What happened to wanting to do the same as in Hull? That's different. I'm both. That would be well planned with plenty of appropriate gear and trained experts. We have no idea what's down here. Done! It's just an old ship, and this is hardly the Marinette Trench. She had a point, Barry's. This was little more than a puddle compared to some of the crazier stuff we'd done and had planned to do. Still, it gave me a bad feeling. I shrugged and led on, babe. We paddled down to the ship, entering into that dark stream. I had the shivers. I swore I could feel something strange as I moved through it. It's hard to describe. It felt less like passing through something than that something was passing through me. I know that sounds crazy, but it was just the feeling I got. Once we were in there, it was a different world. almost like passing from day to night, from outside to inside the current, as though the veil closed over you the moment you descended into it. Dominus was off too. Slowly when you see a domed ship like this, even a recent one, there's a fair degree of wildlife that has already made its home in amongst the wreck octopods, cuttlefish, maybe some coral if it's been a minute. There was none of that here. The wreck was completely barren. Not a whisper of sea life, and yet it was clearly an old, deep-listed, a dozen years out, a commission and life mirror based on the tech. Frost had almost decimated some of the surface, strange and strange. On the side of the vessel there was heads were printed in fading but clearly legible block letters. I was worried Buddinge was excited. Commandant, she said, there's got to be some treasure or something in here. Alright, I said, get your light out. I could see the door hanging open at the top of the vessel near where the bridge should be. I really should have stopped it there. I knew better than to go into an unexplored vessel with all the good and Buddinge's excitement was infectious and it did seem pretty harmless. We had explored plenty of old ships before. Sometimes we had even taken point on the first extent. We made our way into the interior of the ship engine, and with the body and onwards disappearing through the doorway first, I followed behind. It was pitch black in there, so we turned on our lights and led us around a series of narrow hallways until we came onto the bridge. I could see at the broken windows into the Mediterranean Sea. Even with that dark, reduced visibility, it was still a spectacular sight. All those blues and greens, a little fish swimming lazily at the top near the surface. I stand across the broken glass that represented what had once been the bridge's window, looking out and drinking in the sight like a thirsty sailor puts a shot of rum away. Place not on a swamp for me the middle of the run. I squinted. It looked like something hunched over. I looked back for my wife, Inch. What do you think that is? I pointed to the object. She looked at it, then back at me. Pretty so they call that the ship's wheel on it. My gaze returned to it. The slump for it disappeared. In its place was indeed that iconic yet verticid shape that the captain steers the ship with. No, but it was. I stopped dumbfounded. What were you expecting on an old ship's bridge? A joystick maybe. She said and giggled, swimming past me into the next room, leaving me speechless and red-faced. I kept staring at the ship's wheel there. There'd been something on there. I would have swung to it. It had almost looked like a body. Well, what the hell? Maybe the Nerdrogan narcosis was sitting in that thought made me uneasy. I checked my watch. No, we had only been down here for a total of 17 minutes. Just seeing things, I guess. I followed down the stairway into the room on the deck below. The sign demarcated it as Miss Hell. It still looked messy, plates and spoons dashed all over the place. Light fixtures shattered and anything not bolted down, and to be fair was most it was strewn about the area that checked out a goose. This should need some, and that is a pretty chaotic experience for Silverian. As a diver, you tend to think of a shipwreck as a more or less nothing like a building. Most haven't moved for decades, and anything organic has rotted away. Even in organic material have generally been cleared away by previous divers. But the state of this one struck me as odd. After all, if it had been explored by divers before, shouldn't it be more or less cleaned up by previous expeditions? And if it hadn't, well then where were the bodies? I did that. I was unsettled because there weren't bodies around made me chuckle to myself. Ainge turned to me. What's so funny, Dan? She see grinning. I was about to tell her when I noticed something behind her, something huge and shadowy. It was up behind her, hooking and on and off. And your seats? I yelled into the transistor. With a dolphin's grace, she kicked with her flippers and turned around. It struck to be what I had been looking at. We both stared at the empty grey wall that was now just behind her. "Dan," she said, turning to me, hands on hips. "What the fuck are you?" "There was a thing." I said there was a thing right there, swear to God. "Probably just a squid or something, gaze, you're so jumpy, Teddy." "Oh, can we just get out of here? I pleaded something about this place is giving me the willies. There's something in here, and yes. She teased. My skull densified. Oh, she said, holding her hands up in front of her. "We can go, the big scaredy cat is afraid of the dark." "Good," I said. "Not taking the bait, thank you." "Can we please just look at this one little room in here first though, please?" She put her hands together and parted her lips in supplication. I never could resist that. After a long pause of deliberation, I said, "One more room and then we're at." Yes, in underwater slow motion, she pumped her fist and elbow down into her stomach. I couldn't help but smile at her if only I had known. We made our way down into the next room and still let in. "Oh ho ho ho," she said as we got there. "What?" I said, struggling to get past her. "What is it?" We could come to another that clearly led to the bottom of the ship, or where it would have been. Instead of the gantries and various layers that would have ultimately led to the hull, there was only massive tunnel. Ragged chunks of steel bent up in resistance to whatever hoofers had crashed through it. Bent up till that thing hulged. It clearly ripped right through the ship, but then why wasn't there a hole in the roof above us? And why were the steel fragments bent up? "Holy shit," I said. "This is what must have sunk it." Ange breathed. "But not from above," I said, "from below." She looked at me, not following. And she said, calmly but very firmly, "We have to leave. No. Right now. But we're so close. And we have so much time. At least another 5 minutes." "No," I said. "We'll go now before whatever sunk this thing come back." "Don't be ridiculous." She scoffed. There was no way I was going down that hole. I didn't know where it led, but I knew it wasn't good. I don't know it even at the time, but I got the impression that it went all the way down to... Before I had a chance to say anything, there was another movement. As we looked around, ships, translucent, everything began to swim into vision.